Okay, so we're starting with the more substantial commands now, and the format command we've seen already. Purpose of the format command is to prepare disks or diskettes for use by DOS or Windows, and the format command does other things also. Remember, it initializes the directory, it sets up space for the file allocation table. If I have if I set it up as a rescue disk, it also will put the boot program on the disk so I can boot up from it. Now let's check out how I actually do that. So I would basically type the word format and perhaps various other optional parts of the command. Now the format of the format command, and we said in class that this word format really should be the syntax. The syntax of the format command is at the very least the letters F-O-R-M-A-T. Now that's indicated by the fact that we're writing that in capital letters. So as we saw, you don't have to actually type them in capitals. DOS does not distinguish between those, whereas remember said Unix in fact does. And the rest of the command, specifically those parts that are in these square brackets, are all optional. Now the D colon represents the drive that has the disk to be formatted. So if I leave this out, then DOS by default says current drive. And as we saw, that could cause real problems. Earlier you saw me format the A drive, even though I was sitting in the C drive, and I did that by simply typing format and then I said A colon. Right? So if I wanted to do that, I would simply, if I'm on the C drive, and then I would simply say format A colon and press enter, and it would do that. I'm not going to do this now because it's just going to take simply too long. So let me get back to the A drive by typing A colon. So that's how the format command works. What is the /s and the /v? So as we saw in class, the /s causes the operating system files to be transferred. It's for creating a rescue disk, and it's going to be just enough of the operating system to allow me to boot off of there. The /v allows me to specify a volume label. Alright, so this is pretty straightforward, and the main thing to recognize is that you specify which drive you're going to be formatting, or you can really mess things up badly. Now the format command lets me do something to the disk itself. We're going to be looking at the commands now to manipulate files in various ways. The directory command to list the files, copy commands, erase commands, and so on. So in class we looked at the rules for naming files. We saw that the earlier versions of DOS allowed me only 8 characters for the file name, and a maximum of 8 for the file name, and an optional extension, which is like the last name of the file, and the extension could be maximum of 3. So you'll notice that when we write it out like this, so the file name, this is the part that is not in any brackets, so this is absolutely required. Every file must have a name. It has an optional extension, but if I do have an extension, it could be a maximum of 3 acceptable characters, which we'll see in a moment what those are. Now this rule about 3 letters in the extension, that holds even today. The rule about there being 8 letters in the file name, that has been extended in Windows. It can be much longer than that. And then optionally I can tell you which drive and or directory to find the file, but that's not really part of the file name. It's really the file name and the extension. So we went through all of these things which are valid, invalid. So for example, history underscore paper, is that another? I can't tell if that's a space in there. This is invalid because it's too long, and if it's not a space, then in an underscore it's still too long. If it is a space, it's not allowed to have a space in the early versions. In today's operating systems, in today's Windows, of course, this is fine. This would also be okay. The C colon tells me the drive to find the file. And notice, since it doesn't tell me which directory it is, it's whatever had been the previous directory on the C drive that I had been in. If I hadn't been there before, then it indicates the root. And then notes.1, notes is the name of the file, and 1 is the extension. On the next page here in the notes, you'll find what the acceptable characters are. A very important thing we looked at in class was the fact that you can use wildcard characters. So we're going to look at the wildcard characters and then come back to the directory command.